I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Before we start our meeting. All right, Nikki, can I have you take roll call?
Carlos Hernandez,
Here.
Jane Drift. Here. Terry Defoe. Here. Robert Moyer.
Excused. Personal leave.
For the record, we have a quorum, correct?
Can ask council to review and the agenda. If there's any additions or deletions, I believe we do have 3 additions.
Mr. Chair, I have 3 additions to the agenda. The first will be Doris Isham with the SRF task order for the RTAP application. I have a wild rice update from Chris Holm. And then third, filling the vacant District 1 representative position.
If there was no more additions or deletions, ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of Doris Isham's application, the wild rice update, and filling the vacant District 1 position. Yes, with the ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of Doris Isham's application, the wild rice update, and filling.
I'm sorry, move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second? Second? Second by Shane. All in favor? All opposed? All opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next, we move on to the approval of the meeting minutes for August 6th, 2025.
Move to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
Moved by Shane, second by Sarah to approve meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next, we move on to the consent agenda. Miranda, would you be able to read those items for us?
Yes. On the consent agenda, letter A, approval of EPA GHG repeal comments letter. Vote was 4-0-0. Letter B, approved submission of USDA RCDI grant application on behalf of Fortune Bay. Vote was 4-0-0. Letter C, approve resolution number 21-2026, affirming compliance with the principle of free, prior, and informed consent, FPIC, for decisions regarding bans Akiing Azhenan IFM Project. Vote was 3-0-0. Letter D, approve statement regarding District 1 Perry Drift resignation, petition, and District 1 Shane Drift resignation of vice chair. Vote was 3-0-0. Letter E, approve to submit for grant FY25 Tribal Homeland Security Grant Program. The vote was 3-0-0. And finally, letter F, resolution number 22-2026, Article X petition Moot-Former District 1 Representative Perry Drift. The vote was 3-0-0.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read. Do I have a second? By Shane, second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up on the agenda, we have Misty Wilke, and she'd like to speak about appointing Terry Defoe to the University of Minnesota School of Nursing Advisory Board. So I'd like to welcome Misty up to the podium.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Nice to meet you. I'm Misty Wilke. I was actually born in this area in the mid-70s, so I often feel like I'm coming home. Moved here in the early 90s and was here for several years. Most people know my parents, Richard and Patty Wilke. But I'm here today to ask for the council's support to have Terry Defoe on an advisory board that I run at the University of Minnesota School of Nursing. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I was tasked with creating a Center for Indigenous People Health and Nursing in the School of Nursing. And we launched that center 2 years ago. I have a wide variety of advisory board members from throughout the state and am doing things a little differently than most universities do. I think that historically universities are always looking at what they can get from tribes. And I'm looking at how I can help tribes. I think we have a lot of great resources at the University of Minnesota and within the School of Nursing. And, if Terry is permitted to be on the advisory board, I would like to find ways that we can help the Bois Forte community, whatever that might look like. I don't have any specific agenda in mind, just looking for representation from Net Lake Tower that might get missed in other places. We meet twice a month on campus, once in May and once in September. The center would cover the cost of Terry's travel and her lodging to be there. And yeah, I think having boys sports voice and needs represented would be really helpful for us too. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does she know about it or is she?
She does,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
And she was on the advisory board in her previous position. So she's not new to this. It's just she would be a representative of boys sport rather than her previous position.
Oh, nice.
I have one question is, what's the length or duration of the appointment? Is it just until?
Infinity.
Okay.
Yeah. We did not schedule terms. A lot of the folks that are on the advisory board are quite busy, and so some of them don't make it to each of the board meetings. But I think it's valuable to have input whenever they're able to make it. And if the advisory board wants to put term limits on, I'm happy to do that. But we're just thankful to get the representation that we do have.
I move to approve appointing Terry Defoe to the U of M School of Nursing Advisory Board.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you.
Chimigwech.
Next up, we have Amy Mason. And she has two items today. First, she's going to start us out with a request to accept a subaward funding for use during community engagement activity. Can you explain that one to us?
Absolutely. Good morning, and thank you for your time this morning. So the first item agenda is this is a subaward for $3,000. It can only be used for the materials. So I submitted the budget as we would spend that cash. And what this does is it builds do-it-yourself air filtration systems using box fans, filters, and duct tape. So it is an inexpensive way to provide air purification in somebody's home or in their office space. This is a subaward through MTERA. It is a grant that is through the EPA, and the requirement is to return the subaward agreements, send in the itemized receipts for the purchases, and then submit photographs of the Corsi cubes in use, as well as a summary report of how and where purifiers are being used. And since we are not tying this into an indoor air quality program, which was my original intent, until I had some sub-award funding cut to help support that type of a position for boys sports, what we asked and were approved to do is to do a community event where we could actually build these with community members, and then also utilize that opportunity to just engage in discussions tied to any questions anybody might have for the energy department in particular. So I would be working on this with my NOAA grant fellow. So we would have two people working on these with community members. Our funding would support 15 cubes in the Net Lake community and 15 cubes on the Vermilion side. So that is the intent and the purpose. And like I said, we can take the pictures at the community event, we can plug them in, people just take them home. So that way we don't actually have to go into anybody's home to record that data. We will just create very generic information about how they're going to be used. Are they in an office? Are they in a home? Just some very generic information for the reporting. And that's pretty much the whole program. So we'll do the pictures, and that is at the event. So
Sounds like fun.
it should be fun.
Yeah.
Should be fun. And then what we can do is we can present those materials. So anybody that actually wants to look them up on YouTube, and do them outside of what we have available. They could do that. We would have some instructions for how to build them if somebody was interested. And this grant, we would just have to use the funding and submit our reports before September 30th of 2027.
I just have one question.
Mhm.
The indirect cost rate, I do see, oh, actually a compliment. You use the voice board funding approval request form. I like that. But it says on here that indirect cost is not allowed. It's only 3,000, which is, you know. And do we go ahead and pay that for indirect costs? Okay. But that would be also a waiver of the indirect cost, this proposal. Okay. Right.
Room is a little different today. You tripped up my routine. The question is about the indirect. By accepting the money, you're automatically waiving the indirect because the grant doesn't allow indirect. The grant is only $3,000. The project does not rise to be exempt from indirect because of the construction over the 5,000. So basically, the tribe absorbs and pays the indirect on it, which would be roughly about $500. We have an allocation that we budget for shortfall for the whole year. It's out of that pool.
Jim, it would be nice to see the, how much indirect cost the tribe has absorbed, you know, the shortfall. How much we've absorbed for the year, and then, look at the amount of funding we have for that. I would like to see that if we.
Yeah, when I have it in the indirect cost proposals when I do them, and I have one just about done. So we can review that then. I have a whole, it's a great big worksheet.
Be good
Yeah.
to see it. Thank you.
Yep.
Move to approve.
Moved by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? All right, motion carried for the request to accept the Civil War funding used for the community engagement activity. Thank you, Amy. Our next, you're gonna have a request to use the Boysport logo for ARDC press release?
That's correct. So this press release is tied to our NOAA grant fellow that is working with us, Anne. And it basically just discusses the two grant fellows that are tied to this grant program. And it just announces that they're working with Boys Fort and the type of work that she is doing with Boys Fort, as well as the type of work she is doing with Fond du Lac. They did come back to me and ask if they could use the Boys Fort logo just specifically tied to not just the press release, but maybe extend that to utilize for the grant as they're working on different things. So we don't have to come back every time they may have a press release that Boys Fort is tied to in there. And I said the only concern that I would express upfront on that is if there was any feeling of it supporting a position, right? Because without knowing what other things, I would have to make sure that that was presented and talked about. So, but basically the usage of the logo would be tied to Boys Fort's participation within the grant itself. So if you want to do just the press release and then request that we submit review for any other items that they do, we can do that. However you would like to proceed.
I myself, I like that option because I would hate to see Boys Fort dragged into another situation where it's pitting Boys Fort against this or that when we're not. And then they start boycotting our casino again. So yeah, I'll go with that option there.
And Mr. Chairman, for your information, our logo is copyrighted. So whenever an outside agency requests to use it, it needs to be approved by tribal council.
I would move to approve that request, that they just use the logo for the press release, and then anything else, they need to come to the tribal council for approval.
Second.
That is pretty much what I had for the agenda item. I did want to let you guys know that I will be working to be on the agenda for the next meeting, but we'll be discussing EV chargers for the band. So, all right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Amy. Forgot to have my mic on there. Next up on the agenda, we have Brian Whiteman. And first up, he's going to talk about the purchase of a propane bus.
Good morning. Big Woods Transit slotted 3 bids for 3 propane buses for the Low-No grant for propane vehicles at a filling station. We solicited bids from North Central Bus and Equipment, Hoagland Bus Company, and United Bus Sales. There are 12 passengers with 2 wheelchair positions. And North Central Bus came in as the lowest bidder at $527,556 for three propane buses. They're non-CDL. So basically, our drivers will be able to operate them.
Is there any special training or certification that to obtain before they drive these ones?
Just most of the drivers went through propane filling certification in Northfield.
And my second question is that since it's a propane vehicle, and when these vehicles need to be serviced, do we have to take them anywhere special or?
Basically, they're just normal like a gas motor. The only thing that's different is the propane, they have orifices instead of injectors. So I mean, that's pretty well simple to maintain.
Okay.
Amy, you have a comment?
With that grant, there was the construction of the propane filling station
Yes.
too. Is that coming with the construction of the Big Woods Transit Facility?
Yes.
Okay.
DSDW is already including that in our grounds, and I do have the filling station price, which is through Feral Gas,
Okay,
being that they're our main supplier up here.
yeah. I was just wondering about the construction of it because I know it was a challenge with the those transit grants because of all the requirements,
Mhm.
the pre-requirements, and so it was the construction part had to follow all the environmental stuff. Okay, thank you.
Miranda, did we get any anything from Jeff on this? Any concerns from Jeff on this one?
I didn't receive any concerns. He did look over the agenda this morning and we did talk this morning. He didn't indicate any concerns with anything.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any silent motion?
I'm sorry, Carlos, can I just verify? Are you purchasing from each of the vendors on there?
No,
Or-
being that, let's see here, North Central Bus Equipment was the lowest bidder at 527,000, so they were the lowest bidder. United Bus Sales was the highest at 610. 354.05, so.
You're gonna go with the North Central one?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure for.
And also included with that, depending on what I have left or what Big Woods has left, I would like to squeeze in a fourth bus, but this is my rough estimate, a good estimate of what? 730 to 9,000. And and with the balance, I would purchase another one. What's left?
I have one quick question. I know we already voted. I just want to make sure that you have money for insurance.
Yes, yes, that's always operating costs. It's on other grants, so.
It was motion by Shane, second by Tara. All in favor? Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next, Brian's gonna talk about the bid recommendation for Big Woods Transit Facility for the wastewater and water tie-in.
Utility Systems America was the lone bidder for this project, and I am seeking approval from the council. For this, the contract will be also constructing the bike path and the building footings.
So this is a sole source? Was there two other bids requested or?
There were it'd probably be a sole source, because they were the only ones who showed up last Thursday. I don't know if you,
How would we record that?
yeah.
in a
Okay,
com-
so, you advertise for bids, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so you followed the procurement, and so it's somewhat of a sole source because there wasn't sufficient bidders. And so I would just note that, make sure you have it documented that where you advertised, the only bidder that showed up, because of lack of contractors, sometimes that's what happens. And that's one of the allowable reasons for a sole source.
Five other contractors reviewed this, by email, and so it was checked while seeing it. Utility Systems were the only ones showing.
Okay, can you make sure that you or get with Kim and reflect all that information for our records, so it's.
Yeah, I'll have planning department get that together.
Okay,
They're the ones who are helping.
all right. So then I'll move to approve the bid recommendation for Big Woods Transit Facility for the wastewater, water tie-in for Utility Systems of America.
Also, it's like a strict timeline for milestones for this grant, so that's why we're trying to hustle on this. Otherwise, we'll catch static from FTA.
Before I move, question here. It says here that, the bidder was Utility Systems of America with their base bid of 2,370,000. And then if you did go along to the third third line item there, it talks about alternatives. The first alternative is 42,000. The second one is 50,000 for a total of 2,462,000. The Boisfort Council will decide if they will accept the alternatives. Now, if we accepted that, move to approve it at 2,370,000, does that automatically cut off the two alternatives, or do we need to approve the alternatives as well?
Good morning, this is Carol Burr. If you approve that, then what we're doing is we're working with the two departments like DNR and Health and Human Services to pay for their portion, because Big Woods transit funding is bringing the water and sewer to their buildings.
Mhm.
But to hook them up those are the alternates that are in there. So Health and Human Services would need to pay 42,000
$42,000.
to hook up to the food shelf that's out there, and then DNR would have to pay the 50,000
Yes.
to hook up to their building.
So then the council would need to approve it with the alternatives.
Yep.
I second that with, the addition of the alternatives 1 and 2.
I have a motion for approval with the alternatives included. Do I have a second? You motion, he seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Brian.
Real quick, Brian, there's a small note here that says ledge rock excavation is not included in the bid. If that happens to appear, just let us know
Mhm.
what, how you're gonna recover that or how you're
Yeah.
gonna cover that. Thanks.
All right, next up, Tom Spears is joining Brian and to speak about the purchase of one transit van.
Yes. Good morning, Tom Spears, Transit Manager. So do apologize about the miscommunication in the previous request. It's the same one that I was here previously for, when I had been approved for 2. There was some wording in the grant that was overlooked, and we were only able to purchase 1 van, not 2. So I come before you to request the 1 van instead of the 2. Be coming out of the same grant, the 5311C tribal discretionary. At the sum of 150,000 going through a van mobility. They were the best out of the 3 options I provided.
To clarify a little bit more for council, it was previously approved by council to purchase 2. Tom asked me if he could just purchase the 1, and so I told him, let's bring that back to council so it's accurately reflected in the minutes.
Yeah. And then the remaining of that balance from the budget would be put towards the operating expenses of Big Woods.
No concerns from Kim?
No.
Move to approve.
Do we need to rescind that original approval? And then, and then do this one, or because it's modified now?
No, we can just modify the minutes, make sure the minutes are accurately reflected.
There we
The change from original to now to 1 van,
Okay,
so we don't need to rescind.
okay, second.
Moved by Shane, second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? That motion carried.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Brian. Next up on the agenda is Janelle Gogolai. He's going to be speaking about a change order number one with Archkey Town and Country for Boys Fort Housing Rehab Roof Project. Hi, Janelle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What I have this morning is a request for a change order to the rehab project for the Vermillion homes. The change order is in the amount of $54,335.80. And I included the information in the packets that I got from Archkey. And so anyway, I'm looking for approval to for that amount. There is funding within the housing budgets to cover this cost.
And this is just damage that was discovered after the fact because you're not gonna see this
Yes,
until you dig into it, like the photos show. It
yes.
looks like mold and whatnot was discovered after. So this is money to fix what was discovered after. I see.
Move to approve.
Moved by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Janelle.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, next it sounds like Kim's gonna be joining you to speak about state affordable housing aid request. Or to use the funds in the state affordable housing aid.
Yes.
Good morning. The state of Minnesota has a program called Statewide Affordable Housing Program that they have given funds to counties, cities, and tribes. And in 2023, Boysport was allocated 385,715. In 24, allocated 245,455. So we've already been allocated $631,170. In 25, which will come in December, is another $120,000. This program has it's quite open for design. You know, the receiving entity gets to design the program, but there's income level requirements. And Minnesota Housing Finance has been reaching out for several months trying to see what we're going to do with the funds and do this. And we haven't decided. And so Janelle and I discussed and we're presenting a proposal to do, you know, it's not but a proposed project is there were 2 tax credit houses that were destroyed by fire that need to be replaced, that the insurance funds did not cover enough to replace them. So first would be their priority was to replace those 2 houses. And then, you know, you have 2 units that people could be housed in. And then I believe the maintenance staff has identified other houses and rental, you know, houses that have leaking and roofs to be replaced. I believe housing maintenance is in the process of getting that information together. And so right now, all this is doing is saying that's where you want to use the funds for. Doesn't mean that every year it has to go towards that. You know, you can have other projects designed later. But there's such a need for housing and repairing our houses. It seems like a good fit. And then Janelle in planning was going to look for grants to leverage with that. So like in the Vermillion area, if those houses are over there that need the repair, there's a possibility of leveraging it with IRRB funds. And so it goes further. vice versa.
And the first report that's due on this program is December of 2025, December 1st.
That sounds like a good idea. We do need to put this money into our homes before they're too far gone. And it's a good proposal.
Move to approve.
Moved by
Second.
Shane, second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is Kim. She's gonna stay around and she's gonna talk about a 105 lease modification renewals and non-renewals first.
Okay, so the first one is for the IHS 105L lease funds. There's each year you have to request a renewal of the lease. And so we're preparing to renew the leases we currently have with IHS. And so this is the first letter we have. It has some notes on there. All the exhibits weren't quite ready yet. We were working on those so that when we get this ready, we can get it in and get in line for the getting it negotiated. On the IHS side, there's only 2 people that work on them. I believe Chris Poole signs off on them and Paulo Pancho out of Alaska negotiates them. So we want to get in and get in the queue. So the ones that we're renewing as the same is the Net Lake Health Services building here. Vermilion Human Services building, which is the Hideaway Pines. The Leander House, and Boysport HHS is the clinic in that lake. The ambulance portion of the Fire Hall Community Center, Native Hearts Fitness Center, and Vermilion Wellness Center. We're just proposing to put in the same for those. And then they adjust by the inflation basically for the year from what we have. We are having one non-renewal on HHS, and that is the space portion in the Vermilion Center. That's for HHS because there's plans to move staff around not have HHS in that building. And so what we'll do is then when we do the renewals on the BIA side, we'll put a lot of that space in there. So as we move services where they're located, we have to change our where we negotiate at. Then we're going to have 2 lease modifications for IHS. The first one is the Vermilion Clinic. So when we first started this project, we went with what was called fair market rent on all of them, value rent appraisals to get in, get some money and get going. And as we work through this, we're learning more and more. And so with the Vermilion Clinic, we're going to try a combined lease, which is a triple net appraisal, which it's already in our appraisal, so we don't have to go get new appraisals, and then cost elements. So in the first set of appraisals we had what was called the triple net part, plus there was a part for estimated operating cost. So we're going to go for actual line items in the Vermilion Clinic because we have a USDA bond on that we have significant principal and interest payments on. And so we can negotiate by using the triple net, then we can go through and negotiate for cost elements, which they refer to as elements A through H. But not a great term, but it's some of that stuff. So we can line itemize some of the stuff and get more money. And I think I figured $142,000 more if we are successful that we would get a year on that, just the Vermilion Clinic by doing it that way. So we're learning, we're moving forward. The second modification we're doing is for the New Moon supportive services. Because when we first started this process, we thought at New Moon, only the office area would be eligible for 105L. But we were successful in negotiating the whole apartment building complex with the offices in there. And so now we've had the duplexes appraised, and we're going to try and negotiate that in. So we'll have, increased funds for New Moon. And then we have one property that we're adding, and that's the OEO shelter out in Palmquist. We got the appraisal done, and we're entering in under the supportive housing element in the funding agreement to get some funds for that. And so my request is to have approval for the chair to sign the letter.
Okay, there's no concerns from Jeff. Move to approve.
Second.
I just turned it off. I'm bad. Moved by Shane, second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
And for your information, we do have a work group that works on this. It's Jeff, myself, Dan, and Randy primarily. We pull other people in as needed to work on space and what the descriptions are for use and stuff like that. We are really trying to maximize dollars coming into the tribe. So
I just want to thank you for that, because I know how hard that is to be researching that on top of all your other duties, trying to make the most of 105L and being creative that way. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
So the next letter that I'm requesting approval for the chair to sign is a letter of intent to enter into 3 new leases with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So on the BIA side, you can write a letter of intent if you have your appraisal done. And so like if you were to sign it today and we negotiate, it goes back to the date of the letter of intent. IHS doesn't do it that way. BIA does. So these are our 3 new that we're adding. We want to add, and it's the Sawmill building, the storage building out at Sawmill, the Quonset hut, and the Boys Fort Duluth urban office. We have those appraisals done, and they're going in for negotiations.
Oh, nice. So if we can get that approved today, get my signature on it today, even though it won't get approved, but
Yeah,
when it does, they'll go.
we
back
need to get
the
the, there's some addendums that we have to work on. Jeff's office, her name is Bridget, helps us with all the addendums because, and then if we have, these are whole buildings, so they're easier. Sometimes Randy has to do blueprints and stuff, with actual space, because when you get into some of them, you can't, has to be the interior size, right, Randy, instead of the exterior size. It's just, how can you have a building without walls? So those are there. So that's what that letter is for. Just update on other stuff. We did send in a contract to have 5 more appraisals done. And we'll be working on those. And that is the Minneapolis Urban Office, the Heritage Center, the Vermilion Food Shelf, the I Falls office, because we swapped, when we had the last ones done, we swapped the contract for the I Falls office for the Duluth Urban office, because they were moving up in the falls. And there's one more, and I'm drawing a blank on it. I was writing it, I know I wrote it down somewhere. There's one other building that we were doing, then we're doing the Virginia office.
Okay.
getting that go. So we're constantly working on it. And then we have the BIA renewals to do, and we're gonna do the triple net cost element lease for this building also, which would increase the amount we get for here. So we're constantly trying to learn and update that.
Well, it looks like we're looking for a motion to approve this chair signature for the 3 additional 105L leases. Well,
I'll move to approve and just make sure that you put it for Sawmill, Quonset Hut, and Boys Fort Duluth Urban, and that it's a proposal, you know,
Hmm.
it's not, we aren't end all be all that these are
No.
gonna be in there, so it's a
We got our
proposal.
whole process to go through, yeah. And then there's several still that were that they deny. There's some other ones that they denied that we're kind of doing final offers and still hounding them on. So
by Tara. Do I have a second?
Quick question
Mhm.
is that I'd like to know all the buildings that we have for 105L. And for the funding, you can get it to the council later, you don't have to do it now. And what that funding is used for,
Mhm.
because I know that it's a legal requirement, but like I said before in previous meetings, the Trump administration could easily say we don't have the funding to allocate money into the 105L. So then what do we do? You know, and it would be nice to know what the programs the departments could pay for if that money stops, and what they can't pay for, then what does the tribe do if that happens?
um yes, I have a running spreadsheet of what it's used for,
Mhm.
or which buildings they are, the amount that we got for them. And we're just starting to get the BIA funds in, even though they were approved over a year ago. And we're working on how to design that program and stuff. But we will get you information. And I know, at least on the IHS side, that they have a significant increase proposed in the next budget for 105L lease funds.
It's good to hear. I moved I seconded actually.
Oh, man, I.
Chairman, can we take a brief recess?
Oh, yes, it's 10 o'clock. It's been an hour, so we're gonna take a 10-minute break, okay? Thank you. How's everybody online doing? Thank you all for joining us online. And in person, thank you. If Lance can hear me, if you could join us in the meeting, I think he might be outside. Hey, Lance. All right, I think we get this meeting back started. And first up is going to be Lance Hill. I think he has a couple modifications to leases. The first is resolution number 23, 2026, and that's a residential lease for Frank Villabarn Jr. Frank Villabarn Jr.
Yeah, correct. So I'm presenting to the council the resolution, as you mentioned, which authorizes the issuance of a new lease for Frank Vilburn Jr. The term expired, so we're just re-upping it. So this is a pretty cut and dry lease. I don't recall the exact date. It's on the agenda when all these documents are legally reviewed. So, but it has been reviewed and it's ready for a vote. If there's any questions, feel free.
The resolution is basically a lease for 50 years.
Yeah, correct. That just saves administrative, gives Mr. Vilburn time to get his estate affairs ready in case something were to happen to him. And it also, I believe there's a successor and interest clause written into here. So if he has any adult heirs, gives them the option to keep their investment in their family.
Perfect. Help the transition a little more smoothly.
Correct.
There's no questions asked for a motion to approve resolution number 23-2026, residential lease for Frank Villaburn Jr.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up on the agenda is resolution number 24-2026, the modification of the residential lease for Gary Donald and Joanna Boyer.
Correct. So this resolution that I'm presenting has a few moving parts to it. The history of this lease, I believe, it goes back further, but this current lease is established in 2002. The term will be up in 27. So there was a series of modifications, switching lessees, adding lessees that was that fit the framework maybe 15 years back. We just added additional lessees, and as they passed along, the modifications adjusted. This particular one, his granddaughter Joanna is currently listed as a lessee on his residential lease. We will be removing her and adding his other granddaughter, Jessa, who was also serves as a power of attorney. And another provision of this is we're adding a successor and interest clause to it. I believe we are extending it an additional 25 years, the resolutions states. In the third whereas, if you're reading it.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, thanks, guys.
Oh, gotta push this button here. I'm talking loud enough. All right, next up on the agenda, is Nikki Irving. Request to use the Boys Fort logo on the Spirit Medic vehicles. She already has, there she is.
Sprint Medic.
Sprint Medic vehicles. All right.
Yeah, we signed an agreement earlier this year with the Sprint Medic program with St. Louis County. Those will be paramedics that'll come in when we need them for the ambulance service. They're kind of like mobile paramedics. They just want to put the logo on the vehicle that they'll be coming in on with all the departments that are collaborating with that, tower ambulance or ambulance, cook ambulance, just so that we can show that we are associated with this vehicle.
Move to approve.
Moved by Shane to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda is Teresa Isham. Teresa Isham with the approval to purchase an emergency warning siren system.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, Teresa. Yes, we do hear you and you're
Yeah.
joining us online. Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm not in person. I am at an emergency management quarterly meeting in International Falls. But I would like to present, I believe you have in front of you the estimate from, okay, hold on, from Federal Signal Corporation, the Federal Warning Systems. They are the organization that we've been working
Yes,
with for
for
a number of years.
$46,597.
Yes. And what this will do is it will update all of our warning signals in Vermilion, Net Lake, Palmquest and Indian Point. We do have the funds for it. It will be coming out of the 2022 BIA end of year funds. So we do have funds to cover this. It will allow us to switch over to cellular modems, which will be an updated version of everything. Software will be included, which will allow 5 individuals to send out alerts. Currently, the only place that can send out alerts is in my office. And right now that's not non-functional. So this will update and allow 5 other people to send out alerts. For example, Vermilion, if there is a tornado there, a person who is designated could send out that alert rather than me giving secondhand information and sending out alerts. It'll be solar powered and everything. The whole estimate comes with installation and training of the program and the systems. And this company has worked with Boys for It before. Randy Long has been involved in the decision-making process and researching of the best siren system, and he is on board as well. So I'm open to any questions.
Hi, Teresa. The only question I have is, you got the quote and then it says the funds are available from the BIA end of year funds.
Yes.
So it's already accounted for. It's not something that, oh, Kim has a answer.
Yeah, how much was the estimate?
26,597.
Yep, because they have 50,368.76 left from the BIA allocation for siren updates. So
Correct.
they're okay.
So they'd be under budget.
Mhm.
Even perfect.
Who's gonna cover the cost for the annual fees of, $4,323?
I would have to write that in my budget for next year.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Right, motion carried. Thank you, Teresa.
Okay, Miigwech, have a good day.
I'd just like to let you know that she did attempt 2 other quotes, so this isn't a true sole source that she's asking for. So that's a good thing to do.
Next up on the agenda is Miranda. She's gonna take us through the 3 added items. First up with Doris Isham's application.
Doris is in attendance. Do you want to come up, Doris?
Hi, Doris. Thank you for joining us today.
I have for your consideration, the approval of a work order for SRF to do the, grant preparation for the Rural and Tribal Assistance Program. And what that program, or what that grant will do is to review and revise the, actually, no, it'll, what that grant will do is, for the planning and design project. It'll pay for that portion of the turn lanes and the road alignment on the Boyce White Road at Vermilion. And so the work order was reviewed by Jeff, the tribal attorney, on 8/14/2025. And the cost of the work order would be $4,938. The expense for the planning and design would be $535,000. And so it's a real small amount for the amount of work that we'll get from it. We did apply for the same project through the Safe and Streets for All grant. However, that grant has still not been decided and it's highly competitive. And so if we can get if we got the Rural and Tribal Assistance Program grant, then we would be more work ready, shovel ready for other grants as they come available to do the turn lanes and the road alignment at Vermilion. So I'm confident that one of these grants will be funded, knock on wood. I think they're good grants. We have gotten the RTAP grant in the past, and that's what paid for our feasibility study on the evacuation route. So is there any questions that I might answer?
Question for Miranda on the back, the last page, it talks about how this was sent to Jeff for review, and I'm still waiting for the response from him. Have we received a response from Jeff on this?
I received a response.
I have not. But Doris did.
Yeah. Jeff The only response he had was that to change the signature from Tara's name to Carlos's name. And he was okay with it. I did put a copy of that changed work order with Carlos's name, Chairman Carlos Hernandez's name. Was that included in your package? Okay. Just a little more about the RTAP grant. That is a first come, first first come, first served grant that's funded as you apply. And so the grant portal opens on September 8th, and I imagine there'd be hundreds of applications coming in from all over the country. Last time it was funded, we were lucky enough to get into that category where it was funded. We had Vanessa Little do the work with the computer because she's real fast on the computer, and hopefully we'll be able to get her to do it again. And so,
I think we're gonna have to find someone else to do it because Vanessa took another position with a different organization.
oh, okay.
And so the best thing is to have someone ready to go, and we need someone who's computer savvy and can type fast.
On this one, Doris, basically you're asking for the work order to get approved at 4,900, because then we have a pause. We put in 4,900, we possibly can get back 535,000.
Right, yeah.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
And we do have funding to pay for that.
I move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
I will second it on the condition that Jeff has no legal concerns with it.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? All right, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Real
Doris.
quick, Doris, you did already have the tribal attorney approve and with no comments on 8/14/2025.
Yes.
Do you anticipate any other comments as Shane asked?
No,
after
I
that?
don't.
Okay, go with me. Thank you.
I could have brought the email from Jeff, but I didn't think I didn't think about it.
Thank you, Doris. Next up on the agenda, Miranda's going to read the wild rice update.
Okay, so I received the following wild rice update from Chris Holm this morning. And he said, rice is still 3 to 4 weeks from finish, depending on weather. Cooling temps will slow ripening. Rice kernels are milky and early chalky stage development. Rice bed mapping is complete. Rice bed coverage is approximately 3,000 acres. Rice exposed to wind in open areas is smaller. Sheltered rice in bays and by islands is taller. Rice areas map is being finalized. DNR intends to buy rice for HP finish this season. Cost and amount of green rice buy is being finalized based on funds currently available from rice sales. Price per pound to pay for green rice not yet finalized, will depend on other finishing costs and parching costs, and if council intends to supplement costs for the buy. Will model the 2025 finish and buy on last price paid per green pound in 2023, which was $5, but that price should not be considered final at this time. End of the report.
Thank you, Miranda. And next up will be discussing the filling of the vacant D1 position. I know last night we had a community meeting and it was voted on to have a special election. And I am just trying to pull up the wording I need for the motion. All right, we have a motion for a special election. The motion to select special election as the process for filling the vacancy under the MCT election ordinance section 1.2 subsection B subparagraph 2 for the District 1 representative seat left vacant due to the resignation of Perry Drift on August 12, 2025.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I did text Jeff about Doris's agenda item and he said, and asked him if he had any legal concerns with it. He said, no, none. He has reviewed it.
Thank you. Can you have those reflected in the meeting minutes?
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 12 or 10:28. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you all. Thank you all online. We're going to take approximately 10, 15 before we start executive session here.